You already know your workflow is the problem. You've heard it, you've thought about it, and maybe you even spent a Saturday mapping it out. And HoneyBook is still not running the way you want it to. So what gives? Hi, I'm Jackie, also known as the HoneyBook Harmonizer. I help service-based solopreneurs stop running a manual backend behind a tool that's supposed to do it for them. And today we're going deeper than fix your workflow, because clearly knowing that isn't the problem anymore. Doing it in a way that actually sticks inside HoneyBook, that's where people get stuck. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. Here's what I hear all the time from people who come to me. I know I need a better workflow. I've tried. I wrote it down. I went into HoneyBook. I set some things up, and it's still not consistent. Maybe you built an automation that fires sometimes. Maybe you created a pipeline, but you're still manually moving people through it. Maybe it worked for one client and fell apart on the next. You're not back at square one. You're stuck somewhere in the middle. And that is a very specific, very frustrating place to be. Because you've done the work, you just can't figure out why it won't hold. Here's what's usually happening when someone's done the work but it isn't sticking. The workflow they mapped out was built around HoneyBook works, not around how their business actually works. They went into HoneyBook, looked at the pipeline stages, and reversed engineered their process to fit the tool. And that sounds logical. But HoneyBook is flexible enough to hold almost any process, which means if you built your workflow around its defaults, you may have built someone else's process, not yours. The one thing that makes HoneyBook actually save you time isn't just having a workflow. It's having your workflow, specific to your offers, your clients, your communication style, mapped out first and then built into HoneyBook second. That order matters more than anything else. So how do you know if your workflow is actually yours versus a generic version you borrowed from a tutorial? Ask yourself these 3 questions. 1. Are you using HoneyBook's pre-built automations? I know they look like a shortcut. They're right there ready to go, and it feels like a win to turn them on. But pre-built automations are built for a generic client journey, not yours. And when you layer them onto a process that doesn't quite match, you end up with automations that might fire at the wrong time, send the wrong message, or create more cleanup than they save. A time saver that doesn't fit your workflow isn't actually saving you time. 2. When something falls through the cracks, is it always the same step? Because a recurring gap almost always means there's a place where the process exists in your head, but not in HoneyBook. 3. Did you build your automations before or after you finalized your workflow? Because automations built before the workflow is solid will automate the inconsistency, which is why they don't work the way you thought they would. If any of these landed, you don't have a HoneyBook problem. You have a workflow that isn't fully yours yet. And once you close that gap, once you map out the real process and rebuild from there, everything clicks into place surprisingly fast. The tricky part is that most people can't see their own gaps clearly. When you're inside your business every day, what's in your head feels like a process. It takes someone outside of it to ask the right questions and to show you exactly where the disconnects are. That's the work I do with people one-on-one. And the fastest way to get there is the Power Hour. The HoneyBook Power Hour is a 60-minute recorded session where we zero in on one area of your setup, usually starting with your workflow, troubleshoot it together, and you walk away with a clear action plan in the recording so nothing gets lost. If you've already tried to fix this and it's still not sticking, that's exactly who this is for. The link is in the description. Come figure out what's actually missing. And if this hits differently than what you've heard before, subscribe. That's what we're here for every week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.